Hey, this evening I was putting my kids to bed. We were doing a devotion, and as I was going through the lesson, it started speaking to me in this concept or this reflection, this word, the word. It was in Matthew 25:25. Many of us know the parable of the master giving to his servants, three of them. The first two multiplied the gold, but the third one, it says on Matthew 25:25 that he was afraid, and went out and hid the gold in the ground. Meaning he put the gold away. He was afraid to kind of venture out to try and see if he can either make some more gold or if he can get some interest or something. Many of us know the story, but I started thinking, I said, how many times in our lives are we afraid to step out? And because we're scared of what people might say, we're scared of how difficult the task might be, or maybe we just are scared that we're not good enough. How many times we're afraid to either apply and step out of our comfort zone and apply for that job that God has called you to do, either in ministry, to step out. Maybe you're not comfortable in being in a worship team, you've never been around in front of a congregation, but God is putting that in your heart. But because you're thinking, either you're afraid, you won't do it, or two, you're scared of what people might say, or three, you might get chastised and somebody might tell you something, oh, you can't do it, you're not good enough, and you're actually going to listen to those voices. How many of you know we need to just shut away with those voices? We need to just cut them off quickly, but that's a whole nother lesson. What if you grasp and just step out of your comfort zone and just say, you know what, I'm going to go and do what God has called me to do, what he has gifted me, what he has put in my hands, and I'm going to step out in faith and shine. Because in Matthew 5:14, it says, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. And in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So all the good deeds, all the things that God has placed in your hand, don't be so afraid and use fear to hold you down, because the enemy will use this tactic to keep you from moving forward in the kingdom. Whether it is to be in a worship team, whether it is to apply for that job that God has for you, whether it is to be a designer, to be an entrepreneur, to do something that is just not normal, let's say, for you, in the sense of your personality. And people might mock you. People say, oh, you're crazy, you're too old, you can't do it. And then God has called you and he's opening that door. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to fail, because that's part of the journey, that's part of the process. But when you finally get to the purpose, that becomes even sweeter. So this is the word that I received. I received it for me because I know I get discouraged. I know sometimes the weight of just being patient and being still sometimes can drive you crazy. But stand firm, because God is faithful. And let your light shine. Let your gift shine today. Don't be afraid and hide away. Let it shine and share it to the world, so God, and only God,